This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Legend, that is Alain Poupart. All right, how you feeling?
Feel good yourself?
Feeling good? Very good. Can't complain. Where are you at right now?
I'm at a car place getting my car serviced.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. Very, very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Nothing wrong with that. But that's dedication right there. So Alan is going to be at the car dealership getting his car serviced. Later on, Marcel will join us, and he'll be at the golf course. So it's just, it's life, man. That's how we do it. That's how we roll. So let me ask you. Did you see Tom Brady's TikTok post?
Yes.
He got nervous. Huh? You saw how nervous? Sean, pull up his TikTok there. Let's show the world and Alain Poupart how nervous Tom Brady is about the Miami Dolphins. I mean, we are months away from the start of the season, and Tom Brady's already thinking about the Super Bowl when he sees the Dolphins. Now, see, I don't know if Tom Brady's going to make it to the Super Bowl. I know the Dolphins are. But let's watch. Go ahead. Here's Tom Brady getting mighty nervous about the Miami Dolphins.
Right on target to Jalen Waddle, and he is. It's here in the open.
Okay.
I say right foot creep over walking with that evil.
Right on target to Jalen Waddle.
There you go. There you go. So officially, Tom Brady is wearing Depends right now in the offseason, worried about the Dolphins. Did you see that? You saw the worry in his face.
No,
he had to put the glasses.
Yeah, but it's not how it was presented. When I saw it, somebody tweeted it saying, "Is he trying to say something?" You know, that ship has sailed. But it was funny. And Brady's gotten the person. I know that I'm not the one who brought it up.
I know.
No, but he's gotten funny since he left the Patriots, and it was allowed to have a personality.
Yeah, no, it's actually a great video. I love it. This Tom Brady, no matter how much he's brought hell to our lives, this Tom Brady's fun to follow, and I'm glad he didn't retire in a way. You know what I mean? Because that's the kind of stuff you want. But it also shows you that I think people are looking at it going, hey, man, Dolphins did some here in this offseason to kind of change their ways.
Well, no question. I mean, they had one of the fastest players in the league, and they added another fastest player in the league. So the thing that's interesting, though, that I need to bring up, and I don't want to be that guy, even though I've been accused of being that guy, is I think we need to get off the notion that bringing Tyreek Hill means a lot of long passes or a lot of yak, because the numbers just flat out don't support that. In fact, I was flabbergasted. I did research last year on every pass thrown to Tyreek Hill. And then I looked at the stats, the league stats. Would you know, my man, where he ranked in average yak in the NFL in 2021? It blew me away.
I know his numbers have gone down 3 straight years. I can also tell you that.
Dude, he was 95th in the NFL in yak, which, like I said, completely blew me away. On the opposite, how many plays did he have of longer yards that didn't need yak because he was already behind the defense? Yeah, not that many. Do you know how many they attempted? 60. This isn't a story I wrote yesterday. They attempted 16 passes that traveled at least 30 yards, completed only 4 of them.
Yeah, he completes more passes, but shorter passes than Tua does. Actually, Mahomes.
No, correct.
That's what people don't realize. That he actually throws more short passes than Tua does.
There were a lot of
he did it too.
There were a lot of intermediate range stuff. No, there was a lot of intermediate range. Nice background, by the way. You like that? They're doing construction here on top of everything.
I like it.
No, the thing is, it's a good news, bad news situation. Is number one is this perception that he's coming here, and while the pressure's on to throw a lot of deep passes, no. But the flip side is he's like a chain mover more. That's what he's become. He's a chain mover because of his speed, and also the fact that he put such a fear in opposing defenses because of his speed. That's also mighty beneficial.
Yeah, I'm sure when you play them, they're probably playing two deep safeties all the time, so you're working a lot of the underneath stuff. So that's probably what's happening, and the where that changes, and the job of Mike McDaniel and the rest of the staff is to make the running game punishing. And that's when you start to suck that other safety in the box. And then that's when you get the big plays from either your receivers or Mike Gesicki, by the way. Okay? Because, I know my man Omar is all this hooked up on Gesicki and because he doesn't block or all that, but the man can make plays downfield and he can be a big target, an easy target for Tua. So that's the difference there. I think that if you get that running game going, that it becomes a real threat. That's how you loosen things up and you can start to make bigger plays downfield. And I can't say that Kansas City owned a dominant running game. They had a good running game, but not a dominant running game. That's what you got to get.
No, it was very spotty. It wasn't like San Francisco's. That's for sure. They had games where they ran the ball really well. And let's not forget, if we're talking about another guy who can loosen the defense, Cedric Wilson is another guy like that. So no, they've added so many more options in the passing game and in the running game as well.
Yeah, no. So for me, that's where I kind of land on that it's just one of those where it's really up. This is why you brought Mike, and this is why he has his staff here. Fix the damn running game, fix the offensive line, because everything plays off of that. And then that's how Tyreek and Waddle can make big plays for you, I think, down the stretch. But it is funny how when you look at it, people don't realize that as great as Mahomes is, he throws a shit ton of short passes, all the time. But that's what the offense entails. So there's nothing wrong with that overall.
No, there's not a better screen team than the Chiefs.
Yeah. All right. So what are we looking at on in free agency? Because it's kind of come to a screeching halt. But we do have Gordon Geckos out there all over the place that are called Dolphin fans. And they all want, Wagner and J.C. Treader, and they don't want to stop buying players. Do you feel? What's your gut tell you? Have they stopped buying those kind of players?
I think more likely than not. I don't want to say no, because if I say no in 2 hours, they'll sign both of those players. Or then again, maybe I should say no and make the Dolphin fans happy, and they'll be more than happy to stuff it in my face that I was wrong. I would say more likely not. But and this is also the part where what you have is you have still a lot of high-profile players. Tyrann Mathieu still out there, where we're at a point now maybe teams are waiting out the players for their contract demands to slow down a little bit, and then this is where you revisit it in a week or so, and where something might happen. I think there may be a bit of a holding pattern. I think the Dolphins also have a couple of other issues they need to focus on, starting with the Xavier Howard situation. Chris Greer said this week, we're talking regularly. Still hopeful he's going to be on the team. Well, it hasn't been done yet. And when he talks about Devontae Parker, or our plans are still to be with him, for him to be with the team. Well, translation, we haven't gotten a good enough offer yet to move him, because again, doesn't really figure for the investment they're making in him if they keep him on the roster for a fourth wide receiver who doesn't play special teams. Right.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you. I think they just haven't gotten, and maybe that's where draft day comes into play. That's where maybe Devontae gets moved at that point, because somebody in the middle of the draft is saying, well, we didn't get the receiver we needed.
Correct.
Let's trade that pick, that extra pick we've got, and let's go get Devontae Parker right now. He's better than what we're going to settle for, and we need a veteran wide receiver. So I think something like that could happen. Now, here's the $1 million question of the day that I want to ask you. Obviously, we all know X is a hell of a player and all that good stuff, and they're trying to work out a contract. If they don't have one by the draft, is he still on the roster after the draft? In your eyes, in your gut?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Yeah, I'm thinking in my gut they want a resolution before the draft,
Right?
because I think, and with the case with Parker is there's a ceiling to how much you can get for either player. Like with Parker, it's the injury history. With Eck, it's the combination of the contract, the knee, and his age a little bit. So those three things. So because on talent alone, you're getting a 2 for Parker and you're getting a 1 for X, or maybe even a 1 and a 3 for X. But because of the other factors, you're not getting that. So it may be like for Parker, I have said all along, maybe it could come down to the Dolphins throwing in like a 4th or 5th round pick to a team for Parker in exchange for, let's say, like a 4 and Parker for a 2.
Wow.
something to that effect.
That's high.
And then with X, if they haven't resolved anything by draft time, maybe this is where it's X and something else, and you get a 2. Maybe you push it to 1, depending on what else you give up. But I do think the Dolphins, again, because the issue is, yeah, it's fabulous to clear up all that cap space and get rid of the constant headache of excess contract if you trade him, but then you create a massive hole on your defense, which you have worked really hard to bring back intact.
And the reason why I wanted to bring up that question is because you've paid so much money to other people. That's not going to sit well with X. And after the draft, you now then lose all leverage pretty much, because now you can't move them for a while. And it just becomes an off season of hell now, because now you're going back and forth about the money. And I think that if you don't get it resolved by the draft, then it shows that there's enough of a difference that it's going to be an issue that lingers. And so far, it hasn't gotten ugly like it was last year. But
well, they haven't had anything. They haven't had any meetings or camps or anything of the like. So there's nothing to get ugly, because David Cantor, X's agent, is not saying anything, not negotiating through the media. So there's nothing going to be nasty until we get to training camp, if he's still on the roster without a restructured contract, and then he has the quote-unquote hold in. Now, the Dolphins started the offseason program on Monday. I mean, it would be awesome, fabulous if X actually was there, which he wasn't at all of last year. I'm not expecting it in the least, but that would be a great positive sign for 2022 and X being on the roster if he was there.
That might be the pawn move to start the chess game if he's not there for the opening of that right there at that point, because then that tells you, yeah, there's too much of a difference right now for me to sacrifice myself to go there. Or he shows up but just stands on the sidelines and does nothing, and then it becomes an issue then, because obviously but
if you remember, it's light work in the first 2 weeks. It's just conditioning and
but if
rehab.
he just stands there and not do anything, that'll be an issue.
If he shows up and then doesn't lift weights. Yeah,
right. If he shows up and doesn't want to do anything athletically because he might risk injury. So he's like, yeah, no, I'm here, but I'm not going to start practicing until you guys pay me. So that becomes a talking point.
But also remember, it's voluntary. So this is not, technically he doesn't have to be there.
Good point. If it's voluntary, then we can. Then you really can't read too much into it. Unfortunately, if it's voluntary, then it's
quote unquote voluntary, but technically he's not doing anything to violate anything in his contract if he doesn't show up.
Ron is saying Robert Hunt is going to be the right tackle. Book it. And I got to tell you something.
That's what I've said all along.
That makes a lot of sense. That he could end up going to right tackle, and then you just have all the other guys, compete for that guard spot. And because Connor, we know, is probably going to win the left guard spot. But then you can have all those other guys compete for the right guard spot. Now, I'm sure they're first going to try Robert out to see if it works out well for him at right tackle. But that you think he ends up there when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I've said that all along. I mean, he looked fine to me toward the end of the 2020 season. And I didn't, to me, he played well at right guard, but it's not like he's Quentin Nelson. So I don't think I think to me the gap between the next best option at right tackle and Hunt is bigger than the gap between Hunt at right guard and the next guy you would put there in his place. So I think, and right tackle when your quarterback's a lefty, to me is more significant than the right guard. And I understand the issue.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I understand the issue of wanting a really strong middle because you have a shorter quarterback, but there's something to be said about protecting his blind side as well. And I like Hunt at right tackle personally.
Yeah, no, it makes sense also. You look at the pick at 102, and I know you're a draftnik, but again, it's still kind of maybe early in the process. I don't know how much work you've done yet. Have you even entertained what could be targeted in that third round?
Some kind of defensive player, my guess would be a linebacker or a DB, or a big body up front, because I think they need somebody to go along with Raekwon Davis as a pure nose tackle.
Oh, a D tackle. Okay.
Like a big space eater, because remember they had John Jenkins last year who wound up being inactive because they could work their way around it. But to me, it would be ideal if you get a guy 2-down player. I don't care, that's fine. And this is the type of guy who, unless you're Jordan Davis, unless you're a freak like that, generally won't go first round, maybe not even second round. So you can get a good player, a good run stuffing specialist in the third round.
Not a running back like a James Cook that might land somewhere in that area.
Sure, there'd be nothing wrong with that. I think to me the big defense D tackle is a bigger priority.
Yeah, no, I can see D tackle. I would think more linebacker is something that or another lineman. You know, if they felt like, you know, they like one of those guards type center type guys at that spot, because usually you can get some guards in the third round. That's usually where they go. You end up getting some pretty good guards at that point. All right, what are you working on in Sports Illustrated so folks can check you out, my friend?
Okay, well, I have a story, but I'm going to post up the second I get my car, go home. I don't want to divulge too much on it, but it's kind of like deals with expectations. And then I have part one of the mailbag coming out today. And then we'll stay on top of whatever might develop. Maybe Bobby Wagner signs in half an hour, and I was wrong as usual.
Yeah, you never know. I guess if they lower their price, it might happen. Maybe that's the reason why Tyrann Mathieu and Treader's had some injuries, and these guys are available out there still, because probably their price is a little too high right now.
Yeah, and I don't know how. I was going to say I don't know how much cap space wiggle room the Saints now have, but after the retirement of Malcolm Jenkins, and considering Tyrann Mathieu played at LSU, seemed like a pretty logical fit for him to go over there.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. As long as he believes in Jameis Winston, then definitely go for it. Follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. More importantly, bookmark his Dolphins NFL page there, because you will get stories all the time there for you Dolphin fans. Alain, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Have a good weekend, partner.
You got it. There you go. The great Alain Poupart and our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.